should get started. My name is PK Creedon, Senior Director of Social Media. I also oversee our influencer team, and I know what you're thinking, and yes, this is a Kids Medium t-shirt. That wasn't even the laugh. You guys have more to come. You got more to come.
And I'm Jess Moncato, Associate Director of Social Media, and I'm going to be honest, we're a little bit of a disadvantage because we are one of the few Insight Labs without a really cool accent.
So you had Steph and Braden and then us, but I swear like every single other person that you're going to see has at least one cool accent represented. So you're going to have to bear with us, but hopefully you're here because you want to be here. And regardless, the doors have shut, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And you're going to walk out of here with at least two things. One is a better understanding of how the influencer space has evolved, and two is how to strategically activate against the right influencers.
All right, you might be thinking this slide is not done, but does anybody recognize this orange square?
Fire. And who saw the documentaries? Literally did anyone not see them? Not to put anyone on the spot, but I'm putting you on the spot. Okay, exactly. And for those of you then who might be wondering, well, what the heck are you talking about? Quick recap overview. To launch their artist booking app, Fire decided to throw a private music festival on a private island. Very casual, right? And to activate, they leveraged 300 influencers. And within hours of them posting these orange squares, they sold out the entire music festival. But it's known as the greatest party that never happened because literally everything fell through. My personal favorite is people spent nearly $12K to be in the 76th Hunger Games. So it was, and for those who saw the coverage, like I think you might say the same thing. Like they actually like locked people in at one point, like they weren't able to leave. It was kind of crazy. So brands saw this and they're like, I'm even more skeptical to lean into influencers than I was before because this could happen to my brand. But in reality, what came out of this was incredible for you all as marketers because two things. One, the ASA, the Advertising Standards Agency, implemented stricter rules for influencers to ensure further FTC compliance and brand safety, basically shifting some of the liability to be on the influencers. But two, it proved that influencer marketing works.
We all know that you guys may still have some hesitations. Here are actually a couple of misconceptions that we hear most frequently today.
Influencer marketing isn't for B2B brands. That's actually false. Last year in 2018, 30% of influencer programs were a part of a B2B campaign.
Greater following is always better. We actually don't focus on follower count. We focus on finding the right influencer that will align with your brand's goals.
The return on investment of influencer marketing cannot be measured. We believe that influencers should be held accountable to the same KPIs that we hold other channels accountable to.
There are no measures that can be taken to ensure brand safety when working with influencers. So you can control brand safety in two ways. So the way that we look at it at iProspect is through technology and human involvement, but we'll be covering more off on that throughout this presentation. And despite us covering off on some of these misconceptions, we know there's still going to be some reservations. But at iProspect, we have been doing influencer marketing for a while now, and we've seen success when we're looking at it through a performance lens. And so how we look at influencer, we ask ourselves four main questions. We ask what type of creators or influencers we will be working with, how or which technology partner would we be working with, how do we measure the success, and how do we integrate our influencer campaign into other paid media channels.
And we'll be diving into each of these, but to Jess's point, first up we have creators. And as Jess mentioned, we call our influencers creators because all influencers are creators, but not all creators are influencers. Well, okay, what the heck, as I'm trying to dissect that, what are we trying to say there? Well, as Jeremy Hall would say, gone are the days where we lean on only social celebs to drive brand impact. You don't need millions of fans to have an impact like Fit Tea did with the Kardashians. Instead, you don't need many fans at all. So content creators are at the very base, and these are individuals who I would say are average friends and family members that have, let's say, a couple hundred followers. But some of them produce a fantastic, high-quality, brand-safe aesthetic that brands can still tap into from a creator perspective.
MVMT, or better known as Movement the Watch Company, grew their business from a $1 to $60 million company in 4 years. When they first started out, they leveraged an approach that they still use today. They reach out to those who have like a certain brand safe aesthetic, and they develop these content sharing relationships. So in this image right here, you'll see that this creator only received around 100 likes. But what MVMT did is they repurposed the image and put it across their channels rather than leaning on the likeness.
And next we'll move up to micro creators, and these are individuals where we actually do leverage their likeness along with their content creating capabilities. Sperry is a fantastic example of a brand that really engages this audience well. They're a client of ours. We manage their search, social, and display. And what they do is they proactively vet out who is posting and already advocating for the brand that has a following. So this person posted it organically, received 2,000 likes, which is what we would consider a micro-influencer around that range of engagement to have, and then tagged Sperry using the branded hashtag in their post. So Sperry found them, connected with them, developed a relationship, and then repurposed this content on their own channels. And that's just one of the ways that they can now have a longevity with certain influencers that have a certain likeness that they can consistently tap into. And then at the very top, who can help me with this logo? Kylie. I was actually surprised last time that not many people knew, and I was like, really? This is Kylie Cosmetics. I was like, really? this is Kylie Cosmetics. Can anyone help me out? What title was she recently given? Yes, let's unpackage that. Self-made billionaire. Okay, I don't know if I agree with the self-made part, but there's no denying that she is a billionaire. But as we said, the Kylie Jenners of the world are actually less likely to have a significant business impact. eMarketer found, I tripped last time, so I'm watching. Influencers, they found that in this space here, these creators generate a 30% greater ROI than those that actually sit at the top.
Jack in the Box is actually a perfect example of what PK just described. They are a fully integrated account of ours that I work closely with our sister agency, Kara, on, and we work across all channels. So we wanted to activate a campaign and try to drive sales on one of their slowest days of the week, which was on a Monday. So we asked ourselves, which Monday should we focus on? And we chose the Monday after Super Bowl. Knowing that in 2018, nearly 14 million people called out of work that day, and 25% of the country believes it should be a national holiday.
I'm one of the 25%.
Same.
Not because I like football, just because I want the day off.
So we worked with DoorDash ahead of Monday, knowing that most people would be calling in quote unquote sick day after Super Bowl. We knew that this was a space that we could own, and Super Jack Monday came to life. We launched a influencer group called the Jack Pack, which consisted of micro to macro talent. And so what we did with this Jack Pack is they promoted the campaign to their followers. And rather than Jack in the Box spending millions of dollars on a single play commercial during Super Bowl weekend, we cut that number down significantly and repurposed a lot of these assets across Facebook and Twitter, and we saw amazing results. We drove over 400,000 DoorDash landing page views, secured 87 media placements from Adweek to Food and Wine, and saw a 93% lift in social brand mentions that weekend alone.
And you saw in Braden and Steph's, they have a lot of cool, flashy video creative, so we had to throw a video of our own in as well. This is Lulu Gonzalez. She's an influencer that we worked with on this campaign. That's me like every Sunday. But after we find our creators, we need to dive in the technology piece. Will technology elevate a campaign? And in this space, it's very convoluted. This is meant to make you feel a little overwhelmed because that's the reality of what it's like when you're trying to find the right partner for a specific campaign. And fun fact, 3 years ago, there were only 300 players in this space. And as of this year, there are over 700 influencer-specific marketing agencies that actually have different technology that you can leverage when doing influencer campaigns. So there's a lot of clutter in this space. We're a full-service influencer marketing agency. We do everything from negotiate contracts to work directly with the talent. Jess was at a shoot, I think it was like a month ago, right? And she had to run and like grab coffee for the influencers and babysit their kids at one point. So needless to say, we do it all. we do it all. But as you'll hear with paid search and paid social, if technology will elevate a particular campaign, we also have those relationships and we're tech agnostic. So we can tap into the right partners, work with multiple key stakeholders for a specific campaign. Our influencer team is constantly vetting these different partners, and we categorize them into these three main groups. First, you have software. This is really just self-service tool that you can use for the selection process and vetting. Managed service platform, this is nuts and bolts. This would be everything throughout the entire campaign. We'd really only tap into this if there's an extremely large influencer production where to assist with communication or contracts. And then finally, a talent agency. We work directly with talent managers and partners. We were on the phone with CAA last week, and let me tell you, they're very, very tough to work with and negotiate with, but Jess is a shark, and what she got in that contract is incredible. So if you're ever struggling with putting together an influencer contract and getting in what you want to get in that contract, talk to Jess, because she'll make it happen for you.
So all of these technology partners have different ways of ensuring brand safety pre and post campaign through their technology. But really, primarily with these partners, we can use them to assign personality traits, look at keywords, previous posts. But rather than relying on an automated system to assign influencers to specific campaigns, we own the selection process, the relationships, and the contracts. So when it comes to technology, there really is not a one-size-fits-all formula.
And we talked a lot about Hilton yesterday, about their creative approach and what they're doing, and we needed to find a tech partner that can execute a specific brand lift study based on a creative first approach. So what we did is we actually found a partner where we were able to have influencers post different types of content. Maybe it's them at the pool featuring the Hilton pool, or featuring a Hilton landscape or a specific bedroom. And we were able to tie that back to, did that generate a higher increase in consideration or awareness? What type of creative should we be using when we're tapping into influencers? And those results were extremely insightful, but the overall results were actually impressive as well. What we saw after this influencer campaign launched, there was a 4-point increase in consideration, a 2-point increase in purchase intent, those that are more likely to actually book at a Hilton property. And what the most impressive is the 7-point increase in their NPS score, their Net Promoter Score, those that are actually talking about and would recommend Hilton as a brand. And this is just one specific example of how a certain technology partner can be used to execute a specific campaign goal. But as you'll hear Garrett say in the search insight later on today, it's man and machine, and that's especially true for measurement.
All right, so we're gonna need some audience participation. X% of marketers say engagement data is the metric of success. What number corresponds with that statement? Shout it out. Anyone?
I heard 29. Anything else? Any other guesses? 40.
It's actually 85%.
I wish.
I know. I wish. 85% of marketers say that engagement data is the metric of success. Instead, influencers should be held accountable to the same KPIs as we do with our other channels. And we've actually seen this through the evolution of paid social, where we would once measure a social ad based off likes, comments, and shares, and now it's shifted to tangible results. 40% of brands are still using reach follower count. And I do want to call this out because this is probably one of the most important stats here. Only 29% of marketers are using trackable URLs for influencer attribution. We need to be growing that 29%, and we have to take it a step further.
And we can take it a step further by being involved in thinking about influencer all the way in the planning phase. Are we going to be appending click trackers to our Instagram stories, using custom bit.ly links? Are we going to be setting up custom events on the website or having influencer-specific landing page where we can actually attribute success back to where that traffic came from? Are we leveraging affiliate codes to really gauge sales? There are different ways that we can do that. For Hilton, we focused on the brand side. How can we measure an increase in consideration and awareness? And for Jack in the Box, we were on the performance side, as they wanted to attribute it to sales. And what we were able to do is we actually had a pixel on the DoorDash website because of the partnership that we have with them, and we were able to tie it back to specific sales that we generated through our campaigns. So we vetted the influencers, we found the tech, we talked about measurement. The last piece of the pie is integration. How do we incorporate influencer marketing into all other channels? Even though we say that influencer marketing should be its own media plan line item, which it should not be planned or looked at in a silo.
And the easiest way to do this is through amplification. So let's take paid social, for example. We could take the influencer's content, use the content, and target it to actual specific audiences. SEO, rather than focusing on Instagram for influencers, let's just have the influencer write a blog post. Have the blog post drive to your brand's website and drive or increase organic search rankings. Add a home, repurpose the creative and place it across multiple billboards. And lastly, paid search. We can increase, or what's it called? I'm not in paid search.
Target.
Target, thank you. Target or bid keywords or the influencer's name and serve an ad that will contextually align with your brand.
And then out of home, we're actually working with a brand right now that wants to leverage their influencer on all of their billboards, and we're able to negotiate that into the contract earlier on, but we wouldn't be able to do that if we launched an activation then said, oh, we wanted to also turn this and give it legs on a billboard. We wouldn't be able to do that unless we thought about it through an influencer first approach in the planning phase. And then to Jess's first point on amplification, this is the easiest way that we can seamlessly integrate influencer into our paid media campaigns. Air New Zealand is a fantastic example of this. Also, shameless plug for them, they're voted Airline of the Year the last 5 years. They're a client of ours, so if you haven't flown them, I highly recommend. I personally have, and I'm obsessed. Let's bring it back. So what Air New Zealand did is they had to launch a new route, but in a brand new market for them. So to make a splash for their direct Chicago to New Zealand flight, first, any guesses on how long that flight is, Chicago to New Zealand nonstop? 16, yeah, nice. I'm impressed. Someone got it last time too, and I'm like, wow, y'all are too good. So yeah, 16 hours. And what they did is they needed to, again, stand out. So they brought New Zealand to Chicago on Michigan Avenue in the form of shipping containers and a 4D experience. And they had influencers that we activated against on site that were driving foot traffic in real time and promoting content. And immediately what we did is we took those assets, and in the paid landscape, it's like a playground. There's a lot of testing opportunities. So what we did is it was the same audience, the same creative. All we did was change the brand handle that it ran from. One ran from the actual brand handle, one ran from the influencer's handle. And what we saw, just with that small change, we saw a 43% increase in click-through rate and a 25% decrease in cost per click. And my favorite part about the activation is we actually had individuals that were showing up and said, I want the picture that Claudia took, where did she take that? So people are following these individuals and in real time reacting to that. And that just shows the power that these influencers and creators have in this space. But that's just the paid social lens. We also wanted to understand how it impacted other channels. And what we found was there was actually year over year a 30% increase in direct traffic, a 37% increase in organic search traffic, and this was a bigger campaign for them, the first of its kind, especially in a new market. So their organic social traffic actually increased by 6,000%.
And this is just one example of how we can integrate influencer with our paid media channels. But to recap our main key points.
I know we threw a lot at you, but if you
Yes.
take anything away, it's like focus on this slide.
On these four. Lean into smaller creators to drive greater return. So again, we don't focus on follower count. We're really primarily trying to find the right influencer that will align with your brand's goals.
Technology can be used to enhance influencer activations, but it's not a one-size-fits-all. If we're leveraging tech, we need to make sure that it's the right technology for a specific campaign or activation.
Hold influencer accountable to campaign KPIs. So looking at influencer through a performance lens and not just focusing on engagement.
And scale influencer content into other channels. This starts at the very beginning in the planning phase, all the way through reporting. How can we make sure that there's an influencer component to give everything more legs and to make it the most effective and efficient play?
And finally, what was once unclear off limits will become a $10 billion industry by 2020.
Influencer marketing drives results. I hope that came through here, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.